Okay guys, so I'm out here with the X-H2s. Here it is right here. I got the Atomos Ninja on it, and I have the 100 to 400 lens on this thing. And I'm out here for one particular reason. You know, I'm trying to get better at my bird photography. So I am going to shoot this with the new firmware update and see what we can do with the herrings out here and any of the variety of birds, and just see how the tracking is going to do on this while I'm out here shooting this today. So just to let you guys know what I'm doing, I've learned from my mistakes from the last video, and I've done some setting changes. So I'm actually going to shoot an electronic shutter instead of mechanical shutter. I'm also going to shoot at least 1/2500th of a second, definitely over the 2000th mark. I'm gonna leave it on auto ISO up to 6400 because it's bright out here today. And as far as the aperture, I'm gonna let the 1/400 shoot wide open. So it's a variable aperture lens. So it will of course adjust as I zoom in and zoom out. So we're gonna go out here and see what we can do. I'll record the screen as well so you can see how the focusing is going on the camera with the new firmware update. All right, so let's get at it. Okay, so at this point, we probably may move around and see. We got a, let's see here. Looks like a blackbird. Okay, we unlock the lens, hit record, and so I am impressed that we can, it's zooming in really good on the bird. I got my gray bigger box. I am in single focus, and I'm using autofocus button on the back to focus. And it seems to be locking pretty good. Of course, once I lost them. Let me zoom back out. Let me zoom back out. There we go. It wanted to concentrate on the far background, so we still have a little bit of that issue. Now, again, I'm using bird tracking, and in the past, I've turned bird tracking off. Let's see what they'll do for this guy. Okay. And the little birds are fast, so, you know, birds in flight is not an easy thing. Here's a herring coming up. Seems to be pegging on them pretty good. There's two of them there. Seems to be tracking. Now, I'm not taking any images yet. I just kind of want to see how the camera is tracking the birds. So again, this is what the autofocus selection for birds on. It seems to be doing well. Let's go ahead and see if we can go a little further down the boardwalk and see what else we can capture. Okay, so I'm definitely noticing a lot better latching onto the birds. It's a lot quicker than I expected as far as how quickly it latches on, which is a good thing. So there we go, look at that. And then we'll take a couple pictures of these guys. Now, as far as which bird it takes, these two are close. And of course, I got to remember to hit the autofocus button as they move out of my focus plane. But it's doing a good job. Oh, he's too close now. Let me zoom back. Again, now they'll come to you because they're used to people feeding them out here. So, but that's a good test of how we'll do with the 1/400 as they get close. We got the herons that look to be a little active. There's one flying. I'll see if I can pay more attention to the nest over here to basically see if I can get some images of some birds in flight, as well as the birds walking around me and so forth. Now, of course, that's even trickier. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch this focus. Since they're in flight, that's what we're going to go to. I'm going to go to zone 7x7 and see if I can get the best opportunity to catch a bird in flight in zone, and make sure, of course, I start off with a wide enough frame so that I can also capture the birds in flight, as you guys see right here. So we're going to bump this back up to 1/2500th of a second. And yeah, let's go see what we can catch now. All right, so we moved to a spot where we got a little bit more open area. Now, again, the fast birds, the little birds, you know, tracking them is going to be interesting because they are fast. Once they settle is good. What I'm looking for is a herring. A herring can take off, come in. I got I'm on 100 millimeters, so I'm at my widest on this lens. And hopefully I can capture some birds or at least a herring coming in. So as you guys see from the Ninja V video here, this is my widest and the herring nest is up there. You see that guy up there? And as I zoom in, excuse the shakiness here, there is the herrings, you know, and I'm gonna actually take that picture. I like that. But again, I'm impressed. So I'm here shaking the hell out of this camera. And as I go up, boom, it sees them. It sees them. So normally I would not use the bird detect as much because it would lose the bird, even when the bird was sitting still. This seems to be staying right on that bird as I move left to right with the lens. And I'm happy with that. That is a marked improvement. Now, I will say that I did not have the same issues folks were having with the 6.0 firmware update. I noticed a significant improvement in the autofocus, and I said that in the video too, that I had a couple back that I'll put in a card somewhere up here or link it in the description. But I know a lot of folks had some issues saying that the 6.0 firmware dropped them back, they feel, in autofocus. I didn't quite have that issue. I saw an improvement, but I see even more of an improvement with the 7.0. So thank you guys for coming forward and letting Fuji know, because whatever they did, I see some improvements here for sure, especially on how it's focusing. Now, I never had an issue with birds and people. So as I go to eye detect, it's zoomed right in on this person. So this is eye detect, it's on this person hard. And I haven't focused. So I haven't had any issues when it came to first face detect. My issues have always been when it comes to bird detect, and I'm gonna switch it back to bird detect. And we are going to see what it does. So as I'm zoomed all the way, well, that's zoomed all the way in, or somewhat in, we're going to give it an opportunity to see if it'll see this bird. And it did. The bird, of course, moved right at the last minute. So again, I'm set for birds in flight right now with my zone focus. And currently there is no birds flying around that I want to capture. So we're gonna see what we can get here over the next couple of minutes. Let's go break this all down. Okay guys, so here's the conclusion. I give the firmware 7.0 autofocus updates we'll say A minus. And I say A minus because it still exhibited sometimes where it would focus on the background when it got busy instead of the bird. And I think that it could, like most autofocus systems out there, you can do with some tweaking. And for Fuji, they still need the tweaking on the stickiness of the autofocus
tracking once it acquires the subject. Other than that, it acquired the subjects very fast, as you can see from the Ninja V recordings of the back of the screen. It stayed on the subjects very well. It found the subjects faster than it did previously in the 6.0 version for sure. I again noticed that out of 346 images that I took, about 80% of them, the birds were in focus. Whether they were in flight, whether they were in just walking around in front of me, or flying around in front of me, or as you saw with the little female woodpecker right up to my lens, it did a great job of focusing on the bird, focusing on the eyes or the body, excuse me, and giving me a quality detailed image of the bird. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, out of 346 images, roughly 60 something, 70 of those images were where the rest of them I could actually do something with, and you're just seeing a snippet of that, about, you know, less than 20% of the images. So yeah, I think the firmware update, in my opinion, was a good update. It improved on what I saw from the 6.0 firmware, and you guys go out there and have some fun. I will also end this with, this is really the first time I've actually used electronic shutter doing this, and I was also pleasantly surprised at how well the electronic shutter operated. Again, this is a stack sensor, so it was pretty fast and it froze the birds. I roughly shot again around 1/2000th to 1/2500th of a second. I left it wide open on the far end at 5.6, so that way if I did bring in my focal length, it still had the 5.6, so there was no fluctuating in the aperture there. And then I used auto ISO up to 6400. It was a very bright day. Didn't see a need for it to be at 12,800. With that, guys, enjoy your 4th of July weekend. Get out there and shoot.